we duplicated the same trajectory that Alan Shepard did back in the day.
Listen, if you're going to compare yourself to Al Shepard, I'm going to compare you to Al Shepard. Al Shepard made America's first human spaceflight on May 5th of 1961. It was a suborbital popgun shot, but unlike this Blue Origin flight, he did go 116 miles, so almost twice as high. He was also a career military test pilot. He trained for 2 years to go on that mission, and he was flying in an era where no one knew anything about spaceflight. As much as Al Shepard was a passenger on the flight because he didn't have control over the mission, he was also a test pilot on that flight. Also, he was only pulled from the flight line because he had Meniere's disease, but was reinstated after surgery and walked on the moon on Apollo 14. Al Shepard was an astronaut. That's not my main gripe with this flight, because promoting it as an all-woman spaceflight, to me, is absolute bullshit. This is like performative feminism 101, and the only thing in all of the marketing that I actually agree with is likening it to Valentina Tereshkova's flight in 1963, because she was also a PR stunt. So in 1962, Jerry Cobb was making a huge fuss in Washington trying to get women added into the Mercury program to fly as astronauts. And before you come after me and say, well, what about the Mercury 13? They were the first group of women trained as astronauts. I wrote an entire book about how that's not actually what happened. Even the term Mercury 13 was not something that existed until a TV producer came up with it in the 90s. The Soviet Union was reading all of this press. The media absolutely loved Jerry. And the Soviet Union was like, well, if they're going to launch a woman, we're going to launch a woman first. The Soviet space program then selected 6 parachute jumpers to train as astronauts, and they picked Valentina Tereshkova because she was very good looking and she had the right Soviet background. She launched alone on Vostok 6 on June 16th, 1963, making hers the first all-female spaceflight. But if you're going to look at her and say that she was a giant boon to feminism, you are absolutely wrong. The Soviet space program was not open to women after that flight. There were apparently some women put forward by the National Science Foundation for NASA's Group 4 astronauts, which was the first group of scientist astronauts, but I think NASA was just wary of putting women in a small spacecraft with 2 other men, but also I think Jerry Cobb kind of soured NASA on the whole, bringing women into the Corps. It wasn't until 1978 that NASA welcomed women into the astronaut corps under the banner of the 35 New Guys, which was the largest group of astronauts. There were 6 women included, and when NASA announced that it was going to send Sally Ride up, the Soviet Union responded by fast-tracking Svetlana Savitskaya up and having her do a spacewalk so that they could score another first in the space age. The first woman to command a mission did not happen until 1995 with Eileen Collins. But my biggest issue, and this is my personal conviction, when you highlight women's achievements within the context of only women, it shows men, and especially young boys, that women's achievements are relegated to women-only events, that they're doing the real ones and the girls are doing the girls' version.